Oh yeah, joining us now is a guy that I watched in person catch 21 passes in one game against.
What?
21. We were standing on the sideline after maybe the 10th, maybe the 6th. Can somebody fucking cover that guy? Turned out nobody could.
Nope.
It's still an NFL record to this date. Ladies and gentlemen, an absolute stud of a wide receiver when he was in the NFL. Now he's dominating the media game. I'm not 100% sure if he owns House of Athlete and the I Am Athlete podcast, but I know I am fans of both of them. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us now from Showtime, Inside the NFL, and everywhere else, Brandon Marshall.
Yeah!
What up, man?
What's up, man?
Hey, thank you for making time for us today. I understand you're a very busy man. You got like 45 jobs down there, dude.
Hey, yeah, but the most important one, the I Am Athlete podcast, why didn't you tell me? Well, I should have known you just walk away from football to do a podcast. You didn't tell me how amazing it was.
Oh, podcasting's a good time. Hey, good time.
Good time, and if you do it right, you can make some good money too.
That's what they say. That is what they say, Brandon Marshall. I mean, we can't let everybody know the secret. There's not a lot of shows that really do well, though. You know, there's not a lot of shows that make enough money. There's 10 million podcasts. There's only a few that really do well. And those ones, you know, I feel like they have to connect with people. They got to have good content. Your I Am Athlete podcast, every single time an episode drops, it's getting clipped everywhere. It is unbelievable. You guys are crushing it down there.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And I appreciate you, man, and what you guys have done and shown us the blueprint. There's only a couple like sports shows like, you know, the Pat McAfee Show,
Amen.
All the Smoke that, you know, really, I mean, if you're an athlete, you should be really paying attention.
Stack and Matt Barnes, unbelievable over there as well. It's one of those things where whenever you guys came in, and I think we saw some clips before you guys released an entire thing, it was like a little bit of a build-up. I remember watching the vibe. It was like a sit-down vibe. I don't know how you guys mic it up, by the way. The first time you guys had microphones on tables. Now it feels like you guys are sitting in couches, but the conversations you're getting with people, whether it's Cam, Reggie went down there, Reggie Wayne was in there, it was absolutely awesome. I mean, the conversation you guys are getting, nobody else is getting. I'm happy you guys are doing it. Did you know that that's what you were going to get into? Did you know I Am Athlete was going to have success? Or what were your thoughts whenever you started that whole thing?
Well, so the reality is no. I thought we were just going to sell a show. Beginning of the pandemic, I just bought all this equipment that really highlight House of Athlete. And obviously couldn't use that because the facility had to be shut down, and also had this creative team. And everybody's looking around like, all right, what are we going to do? We're in quarantine. So I looked in my neighborhood, and every day, during this time, I'm walking past Fred Taylor, I'm walking past Reggie Wayne. We're all kind of like living in this bubble. And then Channing Crowder lived right around the corner. So I'm like, man, I got the equipment, I got the staff, and I got the studio, turn the facility into a studio. Man, we might be able to sell a show. Because at the time, everybody was doing ESPN or all their shows at home, like on Zooms. I was like, man, this is trash production. So I thought our production was actually going to sell the show, and then it just morphed into this amazing platform, man. And it's pretty cool, and I'm learning a lot.
Have you guys sold it, or is it still you still own it?
Yeah, so I own it, and I haven't sold it yet.
Hold! Don't sell. Hold that thing. Listen, it's going to get tempting.
I'm not going to sell it, Pat.
Okay, thank you, Jesus, because it's going to get tempting. I just want to let you know, you do your own thing. Your show is going to be massive, but there's going to be moments where you're going to look at something, and it's going to be rather tempting, and you're going to say, man, it was quarantine. I just fucking did it just to do it, and there's that amount of money. Hold! We need diamond hands. You're going. That show is going. I'm happy it's independent because what you guys get out of people is just so genuine. It is. Yeah. It's fucking unbelievable down there. House of Athlete, that's your facility? Because you just had a combine too. Like, you're a full-on, is that your place? And I love just how entrepreneurial you are. You're going to take over the world here.
Yeah, I did the opposite of what they told us not to do as ball players, right? It's like, hey, low risk, don't make any investments. All that entrepreneur stuff is crap. 80% of us go broke. And I truly believe that. I think we're supposed to be conservative, and I think we're supposed to make smarter moves. But I had this intuition and this gut, this feeling in my gut, and I just doubled down. So my wife and I, we bootstrapped this entire thing. So House of Athlete and also I Am Athlete, we've been bootstrapping that as well. So we're excited about the position we're in. We're going to continue to open up the facilities in just those warm weather markets where pro athletes can come in, and then obviously open it up for the general population who we call everyday athletes. So yeah, it's pretty cool, man. I've been doing this since 2012, actually. The year of the lockout, I look up, I had Terrell Owens, Ocho Cinco, Mike Sims Walker, Chris Johnson, 2K Chris Johnson, and Darcy Johnson in. And I'm like, man, we need to open up a facility. So that's where it started back then. And then, the goal back then was to open up 50 locations. So, now we're able to start really getting the rocking and rolling now that I'm owner operator. Before I was hiring people and hiring the wrong people and nothing was happening. I was just losing money.
Well, that's going to happen. You're going to learn. I think that happens with every business. And it is interesting that 80% go bankrupt thing, because you never hear about the 20%. Right? I mean, it's always well, 80% of you guys are going to go broke, so maybe be a little smarter. I'm like, yeah, I want to hear about those 20% motherfuckers that are out there making moves. I want to hear. That's
and then the numbers, though, the numbers are, there's somebody, one of our guys is doing his doctorate degree or his paper, dissertation on this, where he's actually studying that, because thesis. Some guys, they played 1 year or they played 2 years, right? So they're throwing like so many people in that. So a lot of people think that number is skewed.
Well, if we want to get into numbers being skewed, I mean, that's in everything, especially in our world, by the way. You're going to learn that. You're going to hear about other people doing shows that are somehow the population of the United States of America, the amount of people they got listening. It's like, that sounds like a lie. I mean, that seems like what you're doing is absolute bullshit. Let's talk about your NFL career. I talked about it there in the intro. That 21 catches, is that, we looked it up here before because I remember being on the field for this game. And I remember just going like, this guy, what are we doing? That you were an absolute monster on the field. And I remember something happened, right? Something happened, you had a falling out somewhere, and then you became this like face of mental health change before everybody else. Like now it's like a really cool thing, but you kind of were like, hey, I went through some stuff.
Yeah, come on, man. Let's not sugarcoat it. I was a problem in the locker room. I appreciate you taking care of the player, but I also appreciate you giving me the opportunity to speak on it. But I was one of those guys, man, that, I didn't get it. I was getting in trouble. And, 5 years in, I found myself at McLean Hospital. And I was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. The best way to describe that is an emotional disorder. That's why you saw that type of player with a lot of emotions and a lot going on the field. But then when you go off the field, you got to be able to turn it off. And I had to go to McLean Hospital for 3 months in an outpatient program where I was diagnosed, like I said, with borderline personality disorder. I was in dialectical behavior therapy. That therapy is a group therapy that helps you learn to give you the skills and the tools you need to be able to just self-regulate. Like, how do I get back down to baseline? Mentalization therapy, being able to process, cognitive behavior therapy, and then also self-assessment. So, it was intense, and I approached it.
How did you get to that? How did you get to that point to be like, okay, I'll address this? Because there's a lot of guys, right, and a lot of humans, especially at this point, we learn now. And by the way, when you came out and were in the it wasn't like a cool thing to talk. Not that it's ever a cool thing to talk about, but now I feel like we have more studies, we have more research. There's more people like you come out saying it's okay if you're not okay and everything like that. But how did you get to the point? Because in the NFL, if you show any weakness, there's a chance that could be held against you, leverage business-wise, let alone a locker room when it's like, hey, come on, like, hey, let's fucking get it together, that whole thing. How did you get to the point where you're like, okay, we need to address this, we need to turn this? Was it the team? Was it family? Was it teammates? What was it?
So that's a long story. It was, so first of all, my life was a living hell. Okay, yeah, I was performing at a high level on the field. Pro Bowl after Pro Bowl, 100 catches after 100 catches, easy.
21 in one game.
The locker room, my relationships I had terrible relationships with teammates, with management, ownership, and it was more so like I was a great guy, and then if I felt crossed or if I felt like, somebody was being disrespectful, I didn't have the skills and tools to be able to communicate the right way. So, it was just a living hell, in ball, in the locker room. And then at home, my interpersonal relationships with my wife, with my mom, with my brothers and sisters, it was just all toxic. So, my agent and my assistant came down one weekend. They said, Brandon, you need help. And I said, what do you mean? And they said, you need help. I said, all right, well, what about church? I was like, because I was just gave my life to Christ. And they were like, yeah, but I think there's some mental health stuff going on. And I thought I had everything in control. You know, I thought I was trending in the right direction. And anyways, they got a private plane, and I was off to Waltham, Massachusetts, and pretty much outside of Boston. And I did a clinical evaluation, neurological evaluation. And that's when I got the diagnosis. But it really was, a lot of things. But my agent and my assistant at the time, Kathy Lee and Kennard McGuire, was like, man, no, we care about you. And even if it means you got to walk away from football.
Man, hey, what a fucking moment in your life. Look at you now. There's no way you thought you would become this dominant media force, basically one of the faces of this league, I'd assume. There's no way whenever you were living in that, pre-finding out what the hell you had going on in your head, there's no way you thought like, hey, I'm going to be this bright light of football at any point. How did your life change after finding that out, after those 3 months? Did football get easier, better, more fun? I assume that like relationships were easier to find. Was it an overnight type thing, or did it take a little bit to become, the Brandon Marshall that we see now?
Interesting. I mean, it was tougher coming back. Like, you got to think, I was almost in a bubble for 3 months, and I was finding out these new things. And one of the things that they didn't prepare me for was coming back to like an invalidating world, right? So it was just this new guy, new outlook, and it was tough transitioning back. For the very first time on the football field, I felt something. And what do I mean by that? I literally was on the football field and I jumped for the first time. A dude came by me. I was just standing there. He ran by fast, missed me, and I just jumped like, holy crap. and so that was tough. This new dude, like this beast, that beast that they used to call me, that monster they used to call me on the field, it just didn't resonate with me anymore. So it took some time for me to find that, like, the thing, like, this is what I said. And I wrote this when I was at McLean Hospital. Every time I would get to like the source or the root of something, I would write. And I wrote this. I said, my strengths equals my weakness. My weakness ruins my mind, body, and soul. I've been trapped all my life, not by man or cages, but by my own emotions. Where I've been while traveling inside myself can be summed up by one word: damn. And what I realized was that anger, that pain, the sadness, all that stuff that I got from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, that made me a phenomenal football player. Like, you're not going to take anything off of my plate. Like, this is life or death for me. It literally saved my life. I'm from the poorest county in Pennsylvania. That was my mentality. It wasn't business. It was all personal. But those same things made me that dude that caught those 21 balls and what it took to get there. But at the same time, it was ruining who I was outside of football. So, it was tough transitioning back. But then after a while, it became easy. And it got to a point where, I actually start preparing better and I start working harder, because now was the first time that I was playing football for a community and not just myself. Like, I wanted to use the platform to be able to help the mental health community. So I started going a little harder.
It was, by the way, incredible story there. Happy in your writing sessions that you had. I bet those were incredibly profound. I would assume. I mean, we just got a piece of it there. I would assume that was very deep stuff you went through there. Thank you for sharing that story, by the way. There's probably a lot of people right now that have no idea that they're potentially going through some shit and they don't even know it, and it can get figured out. So that's dope that you did that. Now, you got back in the game. You played great football. You get into the Inside the NFL. You have I Am Athlete podcast. What is the most fascinating thing you think about this league that we're in? I mean, you've seen it from all angles now. You were savage, emotionless guy. Then you came back, kind of like a rebirth in the NFL. You've been around the NFL. You've covered the NFL. Inside the NFL is a great show as well, by the way. But then what is the most fascinating thing you think you could tell that kid from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania about the NFL now that you're kind of one of the faces of it?
Yeah, the good or the bad, which one you want?
Okay, so let's go. It's Feel Good Friday, but let's go bad first, and then we'll finish it with the good, so we come out on the other side on like a little bit of a.
Well, I mean, the bad part really is like, for a lot of guys, it becomes their identity. That's it. It's an amazing game. It's done so much for a lot of us and so many people. It's entertaining. It brings people together. Doesn't matter if you're black or white. When you walk in that locker room, you know, we got one mission, and we don't see that. You know, obviously there's things that exist, but you know, it's a different. We know that feeling in that locker room, and then also when you're in the stands, and then you got 70,000 cheering fans, it brings people together. But a lot of times, all of that energy, all of that notoriety, it gets to people where it becomes their identity. So that's the bad. Okay, the good.
Here we go.
The good. It's so much good, man. We're talking about, you know, young men coming into the league and becoming men. You know, we're talking about, you know, the platform for us, right? Like, you know, for us to now transition into something special, you know, and utilizing our platforms to do something well. Like, I remember what you did, man. Like, think about what you created. You created this platform, but then what did you do when you got the bag? You turned around 2:00 in the morning, knocking on your team's door and like, yo, we made it. Here's the bag. But it really wasn't about the money. It was just like, thank you for everything you did.
True.
But it started with you. It started with all your hard work there in the NFL, then you being able to pivot and saying, you know what, there's something bigger for me. So I think the platform of the NFL is the most special thing, because we have this amazing power to bring people together and do so many other things outside of sports.
I think what you just said is 100% real. And I think, by the way, that team community feel about, doesn't matter where you're from, what you did, when you get in the locker room, okay, we got one goal, we got one mission. That team aspect, people miss whenever they leave the game, that locker room feel. So I'm very thankful for the boys and what we have. I assume down at House of Athlete, that is something else that is very cool down there. The fraternity, the feeling of locker room down there and the conversations is great. Thanks for that compliment, by the way. I had no idea you followed our shit. I do appreciate that.
Oh yeah, come on. I follow it, love it, watch it, and study you. Like, that's, yeah. Come on, please.
Do not study me, please. do not. You will.
Well, no, you know what it is? What it is and this is why it works for you guys. And this is why, you know, our stuff is starting to take off, because it's real and authentic. And I'm on FS1. You know, you've done some things there. It's like, man, this is real. People want real conversations.
Yeah.
You know, you got ESPN out there. That's great. You know,
Hey.
So I think the people who go on to those traditional networks, you know, that are real, like the Shannon Sharps. That's why Shannon Sharp is thriving, because it's real.
Love Shannon.
Right. So I think that's why it's work. Well, I know that's why it's working for you guys. And I'm just trying to follow that. It's like, man, just be real. Just be authentic.
And I appreciate that. We are a bunch of idiots, and if we tried to be anything different, it would change. But that is what is great about your show, and that's kind of, you know, 2021, 2020, 2019 podcast, long-form conversations. Want to see what's real, don't want to see the other stuff. That's why you have to hold.
Is that
That's great. Yeah, you gotta hold, dude. You're gonna stare something down, and you're gonna have to be like,
Hey, I got a question for you.
yeah, bud.
Bro, you did something amazing this year.
Nah, I doubt it.
How the hell did you get Aaron Rodgers every week?
Hey, pretty cool, huh? Hey.
Oh my God.
Yeah, hey, pretty cool. So very thankful he did that, by the way. Hey, shout out.
Shout out. Thank you, Aaron.
But I think what you said there about the other networks, right, and how, you know, they might be motivated by different things than actually getting the genuine, authentic facts or stories or whatever. And I'm not saying everybody at Fox Sports 1 or ESPN or NBC or anywhere. I'm not saying that. But the way things have gone a long time is like, what do we get hits? What gets us views? What's that? Normally it's controversy, drama, Real Housewife bullshit. And with Aaron, I think a lot of his life was a lot of that. So whenever I pitched the idea of like, hey, is there any way, because I got a chance to meet him at a golf tournament that we won, by the way. No big deal. No big deal.
No way your team won. I like your team. But in golf, please.
Brandon. You fucking Brandon, please have a little bit of respect. I'm fucking undefeated in golf tournaments. Okay, I don't need to hear it. We beat the
I don't see you guys as golfers, man. Come on.
By the way, I am not a good golfer. I was the worst on the team. We beat the NBA. No big deal. Chris Paul, J.R. Smith, take a fucking hike. But anyway, those are good dudes. Those are good dudes too. But I think whenever I met him that weekend down there for the first time, we had followed each other on the internet, but it was the first time I'd met him or whatever. And as I was talking to him, there was a rain delay. It was like an hour and a half, 2 hours. As we were chatting, I'm like, yo, I know nothing about this dude. And I feel like I'm pretty, you know, dialed into like people and the internet and everything like that. And I just, everything he was saying, I was like, man, this sounds a lot different than how they portray you. You know, is there any way we can have a conversation? And that thing kind of just led to it. And I was like, it worked out to every Aaron Rodgers Tuesday. Listen, Brandon, there's a good idea.
Well, I think that was some of the best sound bites of the football season was seeing him. I don't know the hell, was he on the back patio in Appleton, Wisconsin, and just tapping in? Like, it was awesome, man.
Well, I appreciate that, and I think the fact that every episode you guys have, Ocho Cinco is pushing the narrative that nutritionists are full of shit. I love too. So I absolutely love it. I'm the same way. Okay, I think you were in the league for that. As science got involved, now I don't know.
So we got this thing called Ocho versus science. So you're saying you're siding with Ocho?
Oh, 1,000% on. We used to have, the first team I was on, the Peyton team, where I was too young. I wish I would have appreciated that more while I was in it, but I was just kind of having a good time. We had wings the night before game. Pizza was available. Guys were drinking beers the night before the game. Okay, that team, winningest decade in NFL fucking history. Okay, that team. Then all of a sudden, new regime comes in. Okay, Peyton goes to Denver, breaks a bunch of records, wins Super Bowl. But then science starts coming in. We got these goddamn terrible tasting shakes the night before. I'm like, yo, what are we doing? What are we doing here? And they're like, well, they're going to be faster. They're going to be this. I'm like, yeah, but everybody hates each other. Like, can we?
Y'all didn't win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, exactly. Brandon. I'm on Team Ocho there. It's nice to know.
No way.
But
then you got LeBron James. You got Tom Brady out there. Serena Williams, who's embracing science, and they're playing in their 40s, like going into their 40s. They'll win a championship. So maybe if Peyton Manning embraced the TB12 method.
Whoa. Peyton was not eating the wings with me. Peyton had his own thing going on.
Whoa. Don't talk about the general.
I did not want to be associated with Peyton Manning's bad health. I am not going to be a part of that. I'm just saying that team, there was some smoothies, there was some protein shakes, but man, there was a lot of really delicious.
You know who was siding with science on that team? Dwight Freeney.
He had this special water. He had 4 different things he was eating. You're right. He was 100% science guy. I'd assume Peyton was as well, but I hated how the nutritionist started to take away the keg moments for the kale moments, because I think a team comes around a lot more around keg than they do kale. Connor, what do you have?
Yeah, Brandon, Cam Newton was on your guys' show, and he called Bill Belichick dope as shit, which was awesome to hear for a New England Patriots fan.
Hey, 5 straight days, ESPN, by the way. That was the thing. That's an incredible fucking clip from you guys.
Great poll, but why do you think?
Hold on, time out. No, he talking about Ocho. Look, he's drinking water. He's getting a gallon of water. He's off the camera. All right,
it's got messages on it too. It's actually pretty sweet.
Listen,
you health freak. Listen,
I'm trying to adapt. Listen, my wife got this for me because I was so unhealthy. It's like, good morning, okay? By 9 a.m., hydrate yourself. This thing's a reminder all day, you know what I mean? Keep going, it says. She got influenced into buying one of these for me, but, I'm almost at the
There you go. You're almost there. Keep going, health freak.
Hey, listen, I live a healthy lifestyle, okay? It's not just every once in a while. It's every single day, please. When I was in the
All right, so Cam Newton, where are we at with Cam?
Oh, fuck you. Okay. you did. Sorry, go ahead, Connor.
Yeah, where are we at with Cam, though? Like, do you think this year is going to be much different as compared to last year because of the weapons? Or what do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, so, first, having the weapons is a big deal. We can't take that for granted. If you don't have a wide receiver, if you don't have a damn tight end, if you don't have offensive linemen that can protect you, then you don't have a chance at the quarterback position. The only question mark out there still on Cam Newton is that shoulder. We got to be real. There were some moments where it's like, man, is he okay? But if you go back to college, if you go back to his early days in Carolina, it never looked smooth. Cam never had the prettiest form and release, right? But there are some moments where it's like, why did you just dirt that ball?
Yeah.
And when I sat down with Cam, I asked him, I said, well, explain that to me. And for him, it was like, man, pre-snap, that's where the game is won at the quarterback position, is before the ball is even hiked. He said I was just spinning. I didn't know what was what. I didn't, there was just things after COVID where I felt like I was a click or two behind. He said, when I got COVID, we were rolling. And then all of a sudden, when I came back, it was a new playbook and they kept rolling. So I think that they'll be fine. I also love the moves that Bill Belichick just made. Now, look, a lot of people are like, oh, they overpaid, et cetera, et cetera. But
Who
here's my thing.
cares? If you win, who cares?
Right, exactly. And then they're going back to those days, Pat, where Daniel Graham, you got Benjamin Watson, and then the Gronk days, and the Aaron Hernandez, and then they brought in Martellus Bennett. They always love to have 2 tight ends, and they want to run the ball. So if they can get back to playing that type of ball on offense, and then obviously having who's the guy, the mad scientist? You got
Ernie.
Patricia. You got Matt Patricia back as deep.
They got a lot of mad scientists up there. They got a lot of scientists.
They're going to be fine. The Patriots will be fine. Patriots be fine.
How terrible is that, though, huh? Isn't it? Kind of.
Talking about the mad scientists?
No, just the thought that we thought they stunk forever. You know what I mean? Like Tom leaves, they have a bad year. It's like, oh, this team stinks. Like Bill Belichick, 70. Okay, maybe his kids will be able to do what he's doing, but this team stinks. And then Bill was just sitting up there like, is that right?
What'd you say?
$150 million in guarantees in the first day. It was unbelievable to watch Bill do that work earlier this week. I fucking loved it. Brandon, I enjoyed this conversation a lot. Thanks for making it happen, man.
No, I appreciate y'all having me. Hold! Yo, the Hawk, I said, what's up?
All right, you got it. I'm sure he says hello, ladies and gentlemen. Brandon Martin. Yeah!